Okay, so picture this. We're sitting here in the living room, actively and aggressively fighting over the absolute last bite of our paneer takeaway.
Like genuinely exhibiting textbook, feral resource guarding behavior.
Literally feral, which is actually incredibly fitting because today, on the Snark side, we are analyzing the vicious resource hoarding psychology of Splitsvilla, episode 48.
The fake currency economies, the sheer emotional warfare. It's a lot.
It is a lot, but before we get into the strategy, we have to talk about how we got into this feral state to begin with. Because it is Sunday afternoon, the blinds are drawn, the wine is heavily flowing, and babes, we just barely survived the mall.
Honestly, survived is the only medically accurate term for what we just went through.
Right.
It wasn't shopping. It was a tactical extraction mission. I mean, the fluorescent lighting alone felt like a psychological operation designed to break my spirit.
It was a complete nightmare. Dodging packs of teenagers who somehow, have better skin routines than I do.
Oh, it's terrifying.
The sheer overstimulation of the perfume counters assaulting my sinuses. The chaotic energy of the food court. I feel like a piece of my soul detached and is now permanently haunting a pretzel stand.
Which is tragic, but, we executed the one foolproof protocol to cure mall-induced trauma.
Yes, we did.
We ordered an absolutely unhinged amount of Indian takeaway for lunch.
And we didn't just order it, we annihilated it.
We truly did.
Babes, it was a spiritual experience. I am talking about a veg biryani that was so deeply flavorful, so warm, so intensely comforting.
Carb loading at its finest.
Exactly. It was like a hug from the inside that tells you everything is going to be okay. And then the paneer curry. I mean, I don't even have the vocabulary for what this curry did to me.
You really don't.
It was rich. It was impossibly creamy. It was hitting spots in my brain that I didn't know existed. I was eating it straight out of the plastic container.
Yep. Bypassing utensils completely.
I completely bypassed plates. Plates felt like an unnecessary obstacle between me and the paneer.
Which is precisely why there is now a very distinct, very permanent orange turmeric stain actively setting into your coffee table right now.
Oh, whatever. It adds rustic character to the living room.
You treated that plastic container like a trough.
Okay, true. But honestly, the sheer animalistic desperation with which we were circling that final piece of paneer.
Unprecedented.
We were calculating angles. We were waiting for the other person to blink. I am emotionally obsessed with how good that food was, and I will be thinking about it for the next 5 to 7 business days.
Well, you are emotionally obsessed, and I am analytically assessing the reality of our current physical state.
Which is?
Which is that we are both uncomfortably full to the point of near paralysis.
Yeah.
Like the crisp Sauvignon Blanc buzz is actively fighting a massive carbohydrate-induced food coma.
And the food coma is currently winning the ground war. We are completely, hopelessly lazy right now.
Which is the exact, perfect state of being to welcome back our favorite people.
Yes. Babes, welcome back. Welcome to the Snark side, the only reality TV show where chaos, chemistry, red flags, and absolute romantic delusion collide, and we lovingly scream about it.
Grab a drink, grab whatever leftovers you have in the fridge, and do not forget to share the pod with a messy friend.
Because we all know you have one.
Or, let's be intellectually honest here, you are the messy friend.
Exactly.
And there is absolutely zero judgment here. We are your safe space.
We are. But, as much as I am currently thriving in this little isolated bubble of biryani and wine, there is a very dark, very real cloud looming over us right now.
Don't say it.
Because, babes, we have work tomorrow.
Ugh, the inescapable dread of the Monday morning login.
And honestly, we are not excited. We are actively repulsed by the idea of opening a laptop or looking at a spreadsheet.
Fully repulsed.
I initiated a full existential spiral on the drive home from the mall today. Why are we doing this? Can we please just win the Powerball already?
I mean, it is statistically improbable to the point of being a mathematical joke, but at this exact moment, it feels emotionally necessary for survival.
Right. There are random people out there, people who probably don't even appreciate a truly complex paneer curry, winning billions of dollars.
Billions. With a B.
And we are out here winning absolutely nothing except maybe early onset back pain from ergonomically incorrect office chairs.
Oh, true.
Put yourself in that headspace for a second, Snark Squad. You wake up tomorrow and you check your phone. You won $1 billion. The sheer rush of dopamine. What is your immediate game plan? Like, what happens next?
See, my very first instinct, the analytical side of my brain, immediately goes to capital preservation.
Boring.
No, listen, I'm looking at the tax implications, right? I'm setting up blind trusts. I'm researching a highly diversified portfolio of index funds,
I'm going to stop it right there.
municipal bonds, and maybe a modest real estate trust.
I am physically stopping you. That is the most depressing answer to winning $1 billion I have ever heard in my entire life.
Well, let me finish. Because that responsible urge lasts for exactly 10 seconds.
Okay, good.
After that 10-second window closes, the feral reality TV fan inside me takes over completely.
Oh.
I am buying a private island. I am constructing a medieval moat. I am looking into the legality of laser-equipped sharks.
Yes. Now we're sick.
And I am funding a covert operation to just live the absolute most ridiculous, unhinged life possible.
Yeah.
I would make catastrophic, highly questionable financial decisions entirely for the plot.
Thank God. That is the spirit I'm looking for, because for me, it is instantaneous. I am quitting dentistry so fast that the sonic boom will shatter the windows of my clinic.
Oh, I believe it.
I am not sending a polite 2 weeks notice email. I am not passing off my patient files. I am just blocking the entire office on my phone, throwing the phone into a river, and disappearing into the ether.
The pinnacle of professional courtesy. Your patients will be thrilled.
They will figure it out. And then, like, the luxury purchases begin. I'm talking a standalone soaking bathtub carved out of a single solid piece of amethyst.
Highly impractical, but okay.
I'm talking custom matching silk pajamas for every single day of the month. And the travel. Non-stop unreachable travel. Private jets to secluded villas in places where reality television doesn't even have a broadcast signal.
Wait, you wouldn't watch reality TV anymore?
I want to be entirely unreachable by modern society.
It's fascinating how our immediate fantasy response to wealth is just like complete isolation from the society that generated the wealth.
Completely.
Which actually segues perfectly into why we need this mental escape today.
Oh,
Because honestly, we are kind of over this current season. We are hitting a wall.
we are so far beyond the wall. We have scaled the wall, fallen down the other side, and are now wandering in the desert. We are almost 50 episodes deep into this season.
Episode 48, to be exact.
I need everyone to be serious for a second. This cannot be real time. Like, how long have these people been trapped in this villa?
It feels like years.
I feel like we are actively aging with them. I feel like I've known these contestants longer than I've known some of my actual blood relatives.
It's an issue of temporal distortion caused by a fundamentally flawed pacing structure.
Say that again.
Basically, we are watching a marathon that production has slowly transformed into an ultra-marathon through waist-deep mud. We are watching the exact same cast members fight in the exact same dome, litigating the exact same petty grievances for weeks on end.
Literally the exact same arguments.
A psychological exhaustion of tracking who betrayed who, when the alliances are flipping literally every 24 hours based on nothing but paranoia. I mean, it is draining the life force out of the audience.
It is genuinely exhausting. I am physically tired watching them scream at each other over fake currency. But, and this is the sick, twisted, toxic trait that binds us all together.
You can't stop.
I am hopelessly committed. I am a hostage to my own curiosity. I will complain bitterly every single week, but I will absolutely never stop watching. I will be sitting right here for episode 100 if I have to be.
It's the classic sunk cost fallacy applied to media consumption. We have invested so many hours into these people's romantic delusions and strategic failures that turning the channel now would feel like we are taking a massive loss on our psychological investment.
We really are. We are trapped in the panopticon with them.
Exactly.
Okay, but before we officially cross the threshold into the absolute madness of episode 48, let's pivot for just 1 second to reality. Because the weather outside is finally mercifully stabilizing.
Thank goodness.
Babes, it might actually be summer soon. The air feels different.
Yes, the seasonal depression is slowly but surely morphing into seasonal anxiety. It's a noticeable progression.
Exactly. We are trading the sad blanket for the panic sweat. So let's do a quick Rose and Thorn summer edition to set the vibe. I'll go first.
Go for it.
My rose. Iced coffee season is officially upon us, and the sundresses are making their triumphant comeback. I am entirely ready to float around the city looking like a bohemian ghost holding a plastic cup.
That is your peak aesthetic.
It really is. But my thorn, the humidity, it is already actively ruining my hair texture, and the sheer indignity of sweating just from walking from the front door to the car, I hate it. I despise it.
It is brutal.
I am simply not built for the heat. I am a delicate indoor flower.
It is a delicate thermoregulatory balance, for
Yeah.
sure. All right, my summer rose. Rooftop wine.
Oh, absolutely.
There is genuinely nothing better than sitting on an elevated surface, looking down at the street below, judging pedestrians, with a cold, impossibly crisp glass of something expensive in your hand. It is peak human existence.
Period.
But my summer thorn, the sudden, terrifying, inescapable influx of social obligations.
Oh, everyone wants to go outside.
The moment the sun comes out, everyone suddenly wants to, do something outdoors. I don't want to hike. I don't want to go to a crowded park. I want to sit in high-powered air conditioning and complain about reality television.
Which is a completely valid, highly intellectual life choice. Snark Squad, we need to know your summer rose and thorn. Put them in the comments. We need to know we aren't alone in dreading the outdoor social calendar.
We really do. But now, I think the time has come. We have procrastinated enough.
I think it has. We are slightly full of paneer, we are slightly tipsy on Sauvignon Blanc, and we are absolutely unapologetically ready to tear into this chaotic, mind-bending, socially destructive episode. Let's get into the recap.
Let's pull back the curtain on this psychological warfare.
Okay, so this episode opens, and immediately the vibe in the villa is just heavy. It is suffocating. The dreaded Hello Splitsvillains notification goes off on the screen.
Never a good sign.
Production plays that creepy nursery rhyme about who will stay and who will go, which is such a sick psychological trigger for these people at this point, and the entire house just starts spiraling. But I want to zero in immediately right off the top on Akanksha.
Because what we witnessed was a complete systemic emotional collapse.
It was.
It wasn't just a bad day. It was the total failure of her game infrastructure.
It was devastating. I am honestly obsessed with her. I feel everything she feels. And seeing her absolute breakdown before the dome even started,
Yeah.
it hurt my heart. She is sitting there sobbing, not just crying, like full-on heaving tears.
Yeah, it was rough.
She is looking at the cameras saying she actively wants to be dumped. She is completely drained by Saurabh's back-and-forth nonsense. She feels totally brutally used by Garesh, and she's just done.
She hit her absolute limit.
Right. And put yourself in her shoes, Snark Squad. Think about the reality of her timeline. You are 18 days into this pressurized artificial environment. You have been fighting for scraps. You finally get a connection. You finally feel like you have a lifeline. And then you realize you aren't even their priority.
You're just a number.
You are just a placeholder. It is soul-crushing.
It's the horrific realization that you are trying to play a romance game, but everyone else around you is playing cold-blooded chess. You're leading with your heart, and they are leading with an Excel spreadsheet. We need to break down exactly what Garesh did here, because it is textbook reality TV survivalism. It's devoid of empathy, yes, but mechanically. It's highly effective. Garesh absolutely, unapologetically used Akanksha as a human shield.
Completely used her. He wore her like armor.
Precisely. Let's look at the timeline. He used her to stay in the safe zone. When they were declared an ideal match, which grants you ultimate safety and power, he rode that wave.
He sure did.
He let her pick him, he played the part of the grateful partner, and he stayed protected from the dumping. But the second, the absolute microsecond, the hosts mentioned the new rule twist, that only love can win and strategic pairs would be penalized. The calculus immediately changed.
Because suddenly being a purely strategic platonic alliance wasn't enough to take you to the finale anymore. Production changed the win condition.
Exactly. Garesh realized the environmental rules had shifted underneath his feet, so he flipped right back to his original pre-Akanksha plans. He had to figure out a way to cut Zelak down or find Zelak a partner or whatever convoluted multi-step strategy he was running with his original crew. Right. But the core point is this. He immediately discarded Akanksha, the exact moment she was no longer mathematically useful to his endgame. He secured his safety using her status, and then dropped the dead weight to optimize his next move. It is brutal, it is hard to watch, but from a pure game theory perspective, it is exactly how you survive a shifting landscape.
Okay, I hear what you're saying about game theory, but I have to push back here. Is it actually a smart move if it turns you into a social pariah?
That's the risk you run.
Like, yes, mechanically he survived the day, but socially, he just proved to the entire house that his loyalty has an expiration date tied to his own convenience. If you show everyone that you will use someone and drop them the second the rules change, who is going to trust you next week?
Nobody.
Loyalty isn't just an emotion in this game, it's a currency. And he just bankrupted his social capital.
That is a very fair counterargument. He survived the battle, but potentially poisoned his own well for the rest of the war. You can only burn so many bridges before you're stuck on an island by yourself.
Exactly. And speaking of being stuck on an island, you have Zalek in the background of this exact same scene, also crying, because she feels entirely alone.
The isolation is getting to her.
Zalek is sitting there watching everyone else whisper in corners, saying she feels lost.
Yeah.
And I relate so hard to the feeling of being the odd one out in a house full of couples. It is the most isolating, deeply uncomfortable feeling in the world.
Oh, completely.
You're just watching everyone else pair off, cuddle, scheme, build these micro-alliances, and you're just standing in the kitchen like, does anyone even see me? Do I even exist in this ecosystem?
It's the prime number problem. I've talked about this before. This entire show is a house built on pairs. Everything, the challenges, the voting, the sleeping arrangements, is designed for even numbers.
Yep.
If you are a prime number in a house of even numbers, you are fundamentally at a mechanical disadvantage. The game is actively trying to expel you. And both Akansha and Zalak are feeling the acute, visceral anxiety of being prime numbers right before a massive dumping ceremony.
Which brings us, inevitably, to the dome, the arena where dreams die. And babes, the power dynamic sitting on the throne tonight is incredibly tense.
Very tense.
On one side, we have Mohit and Anushka, sitting pretty as the current ideal match. On the other side, we have Ruru and Tain, who earned their spot as the power match. And before anything happens, they have to publicly negotiate who gets the power to save someone and who gets the power to dump someone.
And Tain is absolutely not playing around this week. He woke up and chose violence.
He really did. Tain literally looks at the other couple and says, "We are taking dumping." He doesn't pose it as a question.
Yep.
He doesn't ask for a consensus. He declares it as law. He actively wants people to go home. He is tired of the crowded house. He's tired of the fake friendships, and he wants blood. And Anushka and Mohit are essentially strong-armed into taking the power to save.
Which is a fascinating reversal of typical reality TV psychology. Usually contestants fight tooth and nail for the power to dump so they can eliminate their direct enemies. It's the ultimate offensive move.
Exactly.
But they usually want to dress it up as the hardest decision. Tain stripped away the pleasantries. He just commandeered the executioner's axe and dared anyone to stop him. So the board is set, Mohit and Anushka can save, Ruru and Tain can execute. But then, the dome music shifts.
The heavy, dramatic bass drops, the giant wooden doors open, and I swear to God, Snark Squad, I lost my absolute mind. I spilled my wine on the rug.
You actually did.
I was screaming at the television like my sports team just won the Super Bowl.
The return of the King of Chaos, the anomaly in the Matrix.
Vijay Rethi. Last year's absolute fan favorite, the man who single-handedly altered the timeline of his own season with his sheer audacity, just saunters into the dome, looking like he owns the deed to the property.
Oh, he knew exactly what he was doing.
He has this smirk on his face. I was fully gagged.
And he didn't just come back to wave at the cameras.
Yeah.
He didn't come empty-handed. This is where the production team, the absolute sickos in the control room, deserve a television award. Because the tryst he brings with him is diabolical.
Please break it down mechanically, because my brain was still malfunctioning from just seeing his face on my screen again. How did this twist actually work?
Okay, let's get into the mechanics. Digvijay walks in holding 10 identical safety cards. They're laid out on a table, face down. Underneath each card is a random number, 1 through 10. The 10 contestants currently standing in the unsafe zone have to walk up, one by one, and blindly pick a card.
Just a blind draw.
Yep. That random number essentially becomes their new identity for the night.
Just totally random. No challenges, no voting to earn it. Just luck.
Pure RNG, random number generation. And for anyone not familiar with game design, here's why injecting true RNG into a social strategy game is so brilliant and so destructive.
Tell me.
All week, these contestants have been whispering in corners. They have been making fake promises, doing complex voting math, forming these elaborate multi-layered alliances. They've built a psychological architecture to keep themselves safe.
Right.
Digvijay walks in, shuffles a deck of cardboard, and completely obliterates all of those premeditated alliances in 60 seconds.
Because you literally cannot strategize against a blind draw.
Exactly. It destroys heuristics. You cannot promise to save your best friend if you don't know what number your best friend is holding until the very last second.
Yeah.
It forces everyone, including the people sitting on the throne with the power, to abandon their long-term plans and rely on pure, unadulterated luck and split-second quick thinking. It is a massive wrench thrown directly into the gears of the game.
And the rule makes it even harder. Mohit and Anushka can't just look at the crowd and say, we want to save number 2 and number 7 because they are our friends. They are forced to save a sequence of numbers. They have to pick a block, like 1, 2, and 3, or 4, 5, and 6.
Which means saving your closest ally might mean you accidentally have to save your absolute worst enemy simply because they pulled the number standing next to your friend in the sequence.
Yes.
The geographical placement of the numbers dictates your survival.
It is so incredibly stressful. I was sweating just watching them hold the cards. So everyone gets their numbers assigned, the unsafe group is locked in, and then the pitches begin, the desperate begging. And this is where the hypocrisy of this cast just jumps right off screen and slaps you across the face.
Well, let's talk about the patron saint of hypocrisy this week, Himanshu.
We have to, because Himanshu gets up there to make his pitch to the throne, and instead of just pitching for himself, instead of just saying, here's why I deserve to stay, he actively uses his time to pitch against saving sequence 1, 2, and 3.
Which is wild.
Which happens to be Diksha, Asmita, and Yogesh. And Anushka, sitting up on the throne, immediately clocks him. She doesn't let it slide. She stops him and says, excuse me, Yogesh has always been your friend. Yogesh is in your alliance. Why are you actively pitching against a sequence that would save him?
It was magnificent television to watch Himanshu scramble in real time. He gets caught in the headlights and he tries to cover it with this pseudo-strategic jargon, saying, oh, I'm just looking at the wider picture for the house.
Such nonsense.
But the transparent truth is, he was prioritizing his immediate personal safety over his supposed brotherhood. And Anushka exposing that hypocrisy, demanding accountability in front of everyone. Chef's kiss. It pierced the veil of his entire persona.
So good. I love when the women on this show just refuse to let the men talk in circles. So Mohit and Anushka have to make their final decision. They do the math, they look at the blocks, and they choose to save sequence 1, 2, and 3, which happens to be Ron, Akanksha, and Diksha.
Which, if we look at the board, is a solid conservative strategic move for them. It aligns with some key players and doesn't explicitly declare war on any major factions. But the real chaos of this segment doesn't come from the primary save. It comes from the secondary saves, the ripple effect.
Right, because Sunny drops another rule. She looks at the 3 saved people and says, congratulations, you were safe. But now because you were saved, you each get the power to save one more person from the remaining unsafe group.
The chain of custody for safety. Passing the baton of survival.
Exactly. So Ron goes first. He obviously saves Asmita. That's a given. They are a solid connection. No surprise there. Then Diksha goes. She saves Himanshu. Sure, fine. They are working together, whatever. But then it is Akanksha's turn.
The moment the entire villa collectively held its breath,
Yeah.
the silence was deafening.
Babes, she looks at the crowd. She has 3 realistic options left. And one of them is Yogesh. Yogesh, who has been crying all week. Yogesh, who has emotionally supported her.
Yeah.
Yogesh, who was her original connection before everything went sideways. And who does she look at? Who does she pick?
She picks Vishu.
She picks Vishu. She completely ignores Yogesh, leaves him standing there in the dust, and pulls Vishu up to the safe zone. I literally gasped. I had my hand over my mouth. I felt so bad for Yogesh in that moment. You could physically see his heart break a little bit on camera.
See, this is where my analytical side completely overrides your emotional reaction.
Oh, here we go.
You gasped in horror. I nodded in deep, profound respect. Because let's strip away the sentimentality and look at the brutal reality of Akanksha's position in this game. She has been dragged through the mud emotionally for weeks. She has 0 actual romantic feelings left for Yogesh. She admitted it in her confessionals.
But still.
There's a soft corner, sure, but a soft corner doesn't get you to the finale. She is playing a game with cash on the line.
But the loyalty. You cannot just treat people like disposable stepping stones.
Let's stop you right there. Loyalty doesn't pay the rent in Splitsvilla. Vishu is her new priority. Saving Vishu solidifies a brand new, potentially much stronger alliance moving forward. It's a cold move, yes. But keeping Yogesh out of pity, that is a guaranteed way to sink your own game later. You cannot drag a dead connection to the finish line.
I mean, I guess.
Plus, look at the collateral damage of this move. By saving Vishu, Zilak is left crying because Gauresh is still unsafe. Akanksha effectively neutralized her rival support system while simultaneously boosting her own. It was a strategic masterstroke. Even if the editing made her look like a cold-hearted villain, she cut the anchor so she could swim.
Okay, when you lay it out like that, it makes sense mathematically, but it is still so ruthless. She is a beautiful, chaotic villain, a walking red flag, honestly, but I kind of love it. I love a woman who refuses to go down with a sinking ship.
Exactly.
Okay, but if you thought that was strategic, Narc Squad, what happens next is it's pure, unadulterated evil genius.
The Oracle vote. The true masterclass of psychological manipulation in this episode.
Right. So the dome mechanics shift again. The remaining unsafe people, the ones who didn't get saved by the sequences or the secondary saves, now have a job to do. They have to vote for which ideal match prospect couple they want to send to the Oracle to scientifically test their match.
The people who have no power are voting to give ultimate power to the people who are already safe.
Which is crazy. And naturally, because this cast cannot agree on anything, the votes end up in a dead tie. 2 votes for the couple of Ron and Asmita, 2 votes for the couple of Vishu and Akanksha.
And here's where it gets interesting. Because Himanshu and Disha received absolutely 0 votes from the unsafe group, Sunny tells them that because they were ignored, they now get the ultimate unilateral power to break the tie.
The people who were deemed completely irrelevant by the voters are suddenly crowned the kings and queens of the chessboard. It's a beautiful irony.
Truly poetic.
And they huddle up and they choose to send Vishu and Akanksha to the Oracle, which if you were just casually watching the show while folding laundry looks like, oh, that's nice, they are giving them a chance to test their connection. But babes, the reality of this move is so much darker and so much more petty.
It is genuinely diabolical. Yeah. And this is where you have to understand the metagame happening beneath the surface. Himanshu and Diksha are not doing this out of the goodness of their hearts. They are not trying to help Kamsha find love. They know, in fact, every single person in that house knows, that Akanksha's actual algorithmically confirmed ideal match from way earlier in the season is Garesh.
Yes, we all know this. It's established canon.
So, logically, if Akanksha goes up to the Oracle with Vishu, it's a mathematical certainty that the Oracle will glow red and say, no, you are not an ideal match.
Because she's already mathematically matched with someone else. She can't have 2.
Precisely. By voting to send Vishu and Akanksha to the Oracle, Himanshu and Diksha are effectively handing them a loaded gun with a blank in the chamber. They are guaranteeing a negative result, which means Akanksha wastes her one chance at gaining absolute power.
Oh my God.
She wastes her Oracle visit, she stays isolated, she stays powerless, and she stays vulnerable for the next dumping. They essentially weaponize the game's reward system against her. It is top-tier, cutthroat reality TV strategy.
I was appalled. I was literally sitting on this couch with my mouth wide open, appalled at the sheer pettiness of it, but deeply, deeply impressed. It's sick. It's like giving someone a scratch-off lottery ticket for their birthday, but you already scratched the barcode in the back and scanned it to confirm it's a loser, and now you're just watching them happily scratch the front on national television.
That is the perfect analogy.
It is sociopathic gameplay.
It is exactly why they are still in the game while others are going home. You don't survive to episode 48 by being the nice guy who wants everyone to find love. You survive by understanding the mechanics of the game better than your opponent and using those mechanics to build invisible traps.
Which brings us to the actual dumping. The moment of execution. Ruru and Tane, sitting high on the throne with the power to dump, finally have to make their choice. And Tane makes it very clear he is not writing Yogesh's name down, because Yogesh is Ruru's connection, and Tane is actually being surprisingly decent about not entirely ruining his partner's game.
A rare moment of chivalry and compromise in a game entirely devoid of it, which of course is about to be immediately punished by the introduction of the Mischief Box.
Always. No good deed goes unpunished here. So they announce the names. Garesh and Zalak are officially dumped. They have to pack their bags. But wait, the Mischief Box opens.
Here we go.
And for those taking notes, the Mischief Box is just production's way of changing the rules whenever they feel the drama is dipping. The card inside reveals that only one of the dumped pair can stay in the villa, and whoever chooses to stay inherits all of the other person's Splitcoins, which is the fake in-game currency they need to buy advantages.
And here's the truly sadistic part. The decision is left entirely up to them. Production washes their hands of it. Garesh and Zalak have to stand there and negotiate their own execution. They have to decide amongst themselves who lives and who dies in the game.
Which is such a cruel twist. You have already suffered the public humiliation of being dumped, and now you have to look your friend in the eye and fight over the one life vest. And Zalak, oh my God, Zalak. Through her tears, her voice shaking, she drops the most brutally logical, devastating truth bomb I have ever heard.
It was incredible.
She looks dead at Garesh and says, look around the room, all the single guys are taken. Every single guy in this house is already in a solid couple.
Her situational awareness in a moment of intense crisis was unparalleled. Most people would just cry and beg. She analyzed the demographic data of the house.
Right. She tells him, point blank, If you stay here without me, who are you going to play with? You have no one. You are a dead man walking. You are doomed anyway. If I stay, I have options. I can at least try to figure it out. She logically, meticulously talks him into sacrificing his own life in the game.
It was cold, calculating, pure survival instinct at its finest.
Hmm.
She stripped the emotion out of it. She basically told him his game was mathematically bankrupt, so hand over the wallet and get in the cab. She pitched him his own demise, and he bought it.
I mourned the loss of Garish for about 5 seconds because he was messy and brought good drama, but honestly, Zalak ate that. She took his 51,000 split coins, didn't even look back, and waved goodbye. I respect the hustle. I respect a woman who secures the bag, even if the bag full of fake reality TV money.
But the producers were absolutely not done with her. They gave her an inch just so they could make her run a marathon through broken glass.
Which brings us to the absolute peak of the episode, the summit of the chaos. The 1.5 lakh GoFundMe campaign.
The public humiliation ritual. The audit of human empathy.
Babes, this was excruciating to watch. I had to watch it through my fingers. Zalak is told she can use her money power card to save herself from elimination. But the price isn't fixed. She has to walk up and spin this massive carnival-style wheel of fortune to see exactly how much it will cost her to stay in the game.
And you just know it's not going to be cheap.
The wheel spins, the music is playing, and it lands on a whopping, terrifying 1,050,000 split coins.
Which is a staggering, almost unfathomable amount of fake currency in the context of this game's economy.
It's an insane amount. So now, Zelak realizes she doesn't have enough. She has to crowdfund her own survival. She has to stand in front of the entire villa in her bathing suit and literally beg these people to empty their pockets for her.
And the math happening in the background here is fascinating. Let's do the accounting. Zalak has her own stash of coins, plus the 51K she just emotionally extorted from Garesh. Her friend Kyra immediately steps up and empties her entire bank account without hesitating, which is 32K. They pool all of this together, they count it up, and they're still exactly 71,500 coins short.
And this exact moment is where I started screaming at my television screen. Because we have to talk about the so-called Paichara gang, the Brotherhood, Kulu, Deeptanshu, Vishu.
Oh, the hypocrites.
These guys have been running around the villa for weeks, thumping their chests, talking in these deep voices about loyalty, about brotherhood, saying we die for each other, we ride together, blah, blah, blah. All this intense masculine posturing.
It's a universal truth of reality television. The loudest voices in the room regarding loyalty are almost always hiding the emptiest pockets when the bill actually comes.
Yes, validate me. Because Zalak, who has been their ally, their loyal friend, turns to them. She is desperate. She needs 71K. And what do these bastions of brotherhood do? They start dodging eye contact.
Staring at the ground.
They start looking at the ceiling. They start doing mental math out loud.
Yeah.
Oh, well, if I give you 20K, I'll only have 10K left. And what if there's a task tomorrow? What if I get dumped?
They immediately, reflexively prioritize their hypothetical future safety over her immediate, actual, guaranteed elimination. It is the definition of a fair-weather friendship.
It is the most embarrassing, cowardly, fake friend behavior I have ever seen broadcast on television. If you claim to be a brotherhood, if you make it your entire personality, you empty the bank. You go down with the ship. You throw the coins on the table and figure it out tomorrow.
Exactly.
But no, they refuse. They offer her literal pennies. I can give you 5K. I was disgusted. My skin was crawling.
From a purely strategic standpoint, if we zoom out, the Bachara boys are playing a highly conservative, fear-based game. They are hoarding resources because, deep down, they don't trust their own social standing to survive a twist without paying for it. They lack confidence.
Totally.
But socially, from a jury management or house dynamic perspective, it's a total disaster. It exposes their grand alliance as entirely transactional. They prove to everyone watching that their word is completely worthless when it costs them something.
It's so weak, it's pathetic. But then, just when all hope is lost, just when Zalak is about to be sent packing, the most shocking, narrative-breaking savior emerges from the crowd.
The plot twist, literally no one, not even production, saw coming.
Diksha, who is from the rival alliance. Diksha, who has been actively fighting with Zalak's friends for weeks. She raises her hand, steps forward, and drops 41,000 split coins into the pot.
Boom.
She completely, entirely bankrupts herself. Her balance goes to absolute zero just to save Zalak. The entire villa is stunned into silence. Zalak is bawling, thanking her. The total hits 1,050,000. Zalak is saved.
Okay, we need to pause here and truly unpack this. Because on the surface, to the casual viewer, This looks like this beautiful, magnanimous, cinematic gesture of sisterhood crossing enemy lines, a triumph of the human spirit.
Right.
But if we connect this to the broader game mechanics, and if we pull from the deep dive behavioral theories circulating on Reddit right now, there is a much darker, much more fascinating motive at play here.
Tell me, explain it to me, because I need to know why on earth someone would throw away every single ounce of their power and money.
Dicha didn't do this out of the goodness of her heart. She didn't do it for sisterhood. Remember what we discussed earlier with the Oracle. Himanshu and Disha's entire overarching goal right now is to neutralize Akanksha. That is their prime directive.
Okay, I'm tracking. Keep going.
Think about the ecosystem of the house. If Zalak gets eliminated right now, what happens? Garesh is already gone. But more importantly, if Zalak is gone, the spatial dynamic of the house shifts. By stepping up and saving Zalak, Disha ensures that Zalak stays in the game as a massive emotional roadblock.
What?
If Zalak stays, Akanksha cannot comfortably pair up with Garesh if he ever returns, or anyone else in that specific orbit, because Zalak is still there, taking up space, taking up resources, and creating friction.
Oh my God, are you serious?
I'm dead serious. Diksha and Himanshu literally, knowingly, bankrupted themselves to save Zalak, purely so that Zalak would remain a permanent thorn in Akanksha's side. They spent 41,000 Splitcoins just to be haters. They bought a 41,000 coin insurance policy with the sole purpose of ruining Akanksha's daily life in the villa.
I need a moment. I am entirely overstimulated by this level of petty dedication. I want to push back, though. Is it possible we are giving her too much credit? Isn't it possible this was just a catastrophic emotional miscalculation?
What do you mean?
Like, maybe she wasn't playing 4D chess. Maybe she was just so blinded by her spite for the Baichara gang that she wanted to shame them on television, and she completely blinded her own endgame strategy in the process.
That is the beauty of behavioral analysis. It could be both. She might have wanted to publicly shame the boys, absolutely. But the secondary effect is undeniable. Whether it was pure tactical genius or a spite-fueled impulse buy, the result is the same. She weaponized her own bankruptcy to keep the house unstable.
It's crazy.
It elevates the game from simple survival to psychological warfare. The Reddit threads are completely divided, debating if it was a masterclass or a moronic move. But you have to respect the sheer, unadulterated audacity of looking at your bank account, seeing 401k, and setting it on fire just to spite someone.
It's breathtaking. It really is. It's toxic, it's financially ruinous, but it's iconic television. So the aftermath of all this unprecedented chaos, the dust settles, Zalak is saved, Garesh is gone, and ultimately, nobody else goes home.
Which is infuriating.
Let's take a commercial break for a second. Why is the cast size not shrinking?
It is the core structural frustration of episode 48.
Right.
We endure a massive emotional buildup, incredible tension, an entire microeconomy is drained to zero, and the cast size remains largely the same. It's a narrative treadmill. We are running at a full sprint but staying in the exact same place.
It's so annoying, but whatever. We move on. The episode wraps up with Niharika off in the corner, fighting with Sora because he wouldn't publicly take a stand for her during the dumping, which is a whole other mess of avoidant attachment styles.
Don't you get me started on Sorab.
And Ruru gets a final advantage to send herself and Yogesh to the love den for a romantic date, and she gets to send Himanshu and Diksha on a date as well, because sure, let's reward the petty, bankrupt masterminds with a nice dinner.
It resets the board for next week, but the emotional damage inflicted today is permanent. The Baichara gang's reputation is exposed and ruined. Akanksha is isolated and angry. Diksha is broke but socially powerful. The tectonic plates of the villa have fundamentally shifted.
My brain is physically vibrating from analyzing this. Okay, we need to take all of this residual energy, all of this frustration, and channel it directly into our segments. It is time for Say It to Their Face.
The segment where we drop the pleasantries, break the fourth wall, and deliver the brutal, unfiltered truth directly to the cast members who desperately need to hear it most. No holding back. Total honesty.
I am so incredibly ready for this. I have been drafting the speech in my head, pacing around my kitchen since the first commercial break. My target, the entire Baichara gang, specifically Gulu and Vishu.
Don't have it.
If I was magically teleported into that dome right now, if I was looking them dead in the eye, I would point my finger at them and say, babes, boys, gentlemen, what an absolute unmitigated embarrassment. You have spent 48 episodes screaming about brotherhood. You have made it your entire personality. You walk around that villa with your chest puffed out, acting like you were in a Scorsese mafia movie, demanding loyalty, demanding respect from the women, demanding to run the house. And the literal second, the very millisecond, one of your core allies is standing on the executioner's block begging for fake money. Money that means absolutely nothing in the real world, money that cannot buy you a sandwich outside this house. You suddenly become risk-averse accountants. You look down at your shoes. You hold on to your little 20K coins like it's a diversified 401K retirement fund.
Exactly.
Listen to me very closely. Brotherhood is an action, not a catchphrase. It is a verb. You look incredibly cheap, you look incredibly cowardly, and you look incredibly fake on national television. You are playing a scared game, and scared money doesn't make money. Do better or go home.
Ouch. Clinical, direct, and entirely accurate. You eviscerated them. They are treating Splitcoins like a retirement portfolio when they should be treating it like ammunition in a war zone.
Thank you. My heart rate is up, but I feel lighter having finally said it out loud. Who is your target this week? Who gets the analytical beatdown?
My target is Sorab, because the sheer lack of strategic backbone is infuriating to watch as a fan of the game. If I had Sorab sitting across from me right now, I would look him in the eye and say, Sorab, you are attempting the impossible. You are trying to be the nice guy who is universally loved by everyone in the house while simultaneously trying to be the shadow mastermind who controls the voting blocks.
Yes.
You cannot do both. You have to pick a struggle. You are playing both sides with your connection to Niharika and with your boys, and as a mathematical result, you are failing both. Niharika is crying in the corner because you won't publicly defend her when it counts, and the boys don't respect your authority because you won't commit to a hard offensive play.
It's so weak.
You are flip-flopping so hard, vacillating between these two personas, that you are giving the audience whiplash. The middle of the road is the absolute most dangerous place to stand in reality TV. You should eventually get hit by traffic coming from both directions. Make a choice, make an enemy, and actually play the game, or pack your bags and let someone else take your spot.
Yes. Pick a struggle. The nice guy act is so exhausting when we all know you're just terrified of actual conflict. Stop straddling the fence. Okay, moving on to our next segment, which is a personal favorite. Production is sick for this.
This is where we highlight the moments where the invisible hand of the producers was a little too heavy, a little too obvious, and a little too messy.
I'll go first, and I am still emotionally scarred by it. Digvijay's random number cards. I'm sorry, but production is deeply sick for this.
Right.
Think about the human element here. These people have spent almost 50 episodes in this house. 50.
A lifetime.
They have starved, they have fought, they have cried, they have built these intricate, fragile webs of alliances, they have put in the psychological work, and production just sits in the control room and says, nah, let's just make it a blind lottery today.
It's pure chaos.
It is so unbelievably cruel to reduce a month of intense social strategy to pulling a piece of cardboard from a shuffled deck. I love the chaos it brings to my screen, but from a psychological standpoint, it is deeply, deeply sick to do that to their mental health. It invalidates everything they've worked for.
It's the equivalent of watching a player spend hours painstakingly building a 10-story house of cards, only for the producers to turn on an industrial desk fan just to see what happens. It's cruel, yes, but it's spectacular award-winning television.
It really is. What's your pip? What made you clock the producers this week?
My pick is the math behind the Wheel of Fortune. Specifically, the wheel landing on exactly 1,050,000 split coins. I want everyone listening to give the producers an Emmy for this specific moment because that was a mathematical setup of the highest order.
Wait, you genuinely think the wheel was rigged, like magnetically controlled?
Of course it was rigged. Let's think critically for a second. The producers are omniscient. They know exactly, down to the single digit, how many split coins are circulating in that villa economy at any given moment. They control the central bank.
That's true.
They picked a number, 1.5 lakh, that was just high enough that absolutely no single person or even a small dedicated group of three could pay it. It mathematically forced literally everyone in the villa to chip in if Zalak was going to be saved.
Oh my God. You're right. If it was 50K, her friends could have covered it quietly.
Exactly. They engineered a scenario specifically designed to stress test the limits of every single alliance in that house. They knew the price point would expose the Paichara gang's cheapness. They knew it would force rivals to either stand there and watch someone die in the game or go completely broke trying to play the hero.
Wow.
It wasn't a random spin of a carnival wheel. It was a targeted, aggressive financial audit of their friendships. It was brilliant, and it was entirely sick.
I'm unwell. The psychological manipulation of these producers. They are playing 4D chess while these poor contestants are playing checkers in the dark.
Which leads us perfectly into our next segment, a segment born from my own personal anxieties.
Uh-huh.
This would ruin my life. The moments in the episode that, if we experienced them personally, would cause us to fake our own deaths, change our identities, and move to an undisclosed location.
Without a single second of hesitation, mine is the GoFundMe moment. The public begging. Put yourself in Zalak's shoes for a second, Snark Squad. Imagine this scenario. You are standing in front of 20 people. Half of them actively dislike you. You are wearing a bathing suit.
Already a nightmare.
And you have to literally beg them out loud to donate fake currency to save your life. And while you are begging, your supposed best friends, the people you have defended, cooked for, and fought for over the last month, are staring at the floor. They are refusing to make eye contact with you. They are clutching their little bags of coins.
It's so grim.
The sheer, overwhelming, paralyzing social embarrassment of that moment. Realizing in real time, on camera, that you mean absolutely nothing to them. I would not survive it. My nervous system would shut down. I would simply turn around, walk directly into the ocean, and never return to land.
The self-inflicted social exile would be immediate and permanent. You could never, ever look those people in the eye again. The power dynamic would be shattered forever.
Never. I would have to change my name to something unpronounceable and move to a forest. What about you? What moment from this episode would ruin your life?
Mine is the Diksha move. Bankrupting yourself just to be a hater.
Wait, really? You wouldn't do that? I feel like that is kind of your brand of petty.
Let me explain this specific lingering type of humiliation this carries. Imagine I am in that house. I spend $41,000 of my own hard-earned, albeit completely fake, currency. I empty my bank account to zero, and I do it purely despite someone else. I do it to ruin Akansha's game.
Okay.
It's a massive power move, and the exact moment it happens, the music swells, everyone claps, I look like a boss. But what happens the very next morning?
You wake up and you're broke.
I wake up entirely destitute. I have zero power. If a physical challenge comes up that afternoon where I need coins for an advantage, I lose. If a surprise dumping happens that night, I have absolutely no financial leverage to negotiate my safety.
Oh, I see.
If I spent $41K to be petty and look cool on a Tuesday, and then got eliminated on a Wednesday purely because I couldn't afford to save myself, the embarrassment would haunt me for decades. I would wake up in a cold sweat at 3 a.m. when I'm 60 years old, staring at the ceiling, remembering the time I let my hatred override my basic evolutionary survival instinct. It would ruin my life retroactively. The hangover from that level of pettiness is fatal.
Okay, that is a deeply fair point. The emotional hangover of realizing you played yourself just to annoy someone else must be severe. You would never forgive yourself. Let's wrap up our segments today with a quick energy audit.
This is where we label the core vibes and behavioral patterns of the key players this week.
I'll start with Gulu and the Paichara boys. The vibe. Draining energy. Utterly, completely draining. I am so tired of them taking up screen time, the constant whispering in the corners, the paranoid hoarding of money, the absolute refusal to make big, entertaining moves.
Giving nothing.
Nothing. It is lacking any of the romance, the fun, or the bold chaos that makes reality TV actually good. They are playing like risk-averse accountants at a tax convention, not reality stars on a dating show. Draining, draining, draining.
Agreed, they suck the oxygen out of the room. Moving to the complete opposite end of the spectrum, Digvijay. His energy this week is chaotic good.
So chaotic.
He walked into that dome, smiled a brilliant smile, dropped a tactical nuclear weapon on their carefully laid strategies with those random cards, laughed about the destruction, and walked out without a scratch on him. He is the agent of chaos the season desperately, urgently needed, and he didn't even have to break a sweat to do it.
I love him. I want him to narrate my life. Okay, what about Diksha? What is her audit?
Diksha is giving fake calm energy mixed with pure, distilled mastermind.
Ooh, yes!
She sits there very quietly. She pretends she is just playing the game logically and going with the flow, but her moves are deeply, existentially petty and highly calculated. She is a silent assassin with a very long, very detailed memory. Do not cross her because she will bankrupt herself just to ensure you fail.
Terrifying energy to be around. And finally, my girl, Akanksha. Babes. She is a walking red flag.
A crimson banner waving violently in hurricane-force winds.
She really is. I am obsessed with her. I want her on my screen at all times because she is phenomenal television, but let's be real with ourselves. She cries over Sorab's indecision. She lets herself get completely manipulated and used by Garesh, and then she turns around and mercilessly, coldly drops Yogesh II. A slightly better option walks by.
Unpredictable.
She is a beautiful, chaotic disaster of a human being, and she is the absolute beating heart of this show's drama right now. she is keeping the lights on at the network.
She is the prime mover of the chaos. She doesn't just participate in the drama, she generates it. Every action she takes forces a massive, uncontrolled reaction from everyone else in the ecosystem.
Exactly. Okay, Biggs, that concludes our energy audit, and that officially wraps up our breakdown of episode 48.
And we survived it. Barely. I feel like I need a nap and a spreadsheet to recover.
We did survive. Snark Squad, thank you so much for surviving another exhausting, deeply stressful, highly analytical week in the villa with us. We literally could not do this without you.
Your Reddit threads, your comments, and your unhinged conspiracy theories sustain us through the slow episodes.
They really do. You guys are the smartest fans on the internet. Please don't forget to share the show with your messiest friend, the one who would definitely, absolutely bankrupt themselves just to be a hater, and leave us a rating and a review on whatever app you're listening on. 5 stars only, please, because we are emotionally fragile and the humidity is already making us irritable.
Before we sign off today, I want to leave everyone with a final, slightly uncomfortable thought to mull over while you sit at your desk and pretend to work tomorrow. Think about the Wheel of Fortune. Think about that 1.5 lakh price tag. If production can manipulate the emotional and financial economy of the game this heavily, with a single predetermined spin of a wheel, does anyone in that villa actually have a real strategy? Or are they all just lab rats, desperately running on a wheel, entirely convinced they're the ones in charge of the maze?
Oh my God, you just broke my brain. I'm going to be staring at the wall thinking about that all night.
Yeah.
Babes, we started this discussion aggressively fighting over warm biryani, writing a solid wine buzz, and complaining about the lighting at the mall. And we ended up questioning the very fabric of reality TV timelines, the existence of free will, and the psychological weight of fake money. It is exhausting, but honestly, it's iconic.
Until next time, protect your peace and your split coins.
Stay full, stay chaotic, and we will see you on the Snark side.